Thank you. We got a super show tonight. I was just looking at this book by Mr. Margolis, and it looks like about the most common sense book I've seen on training dogs, you know.
He's good.
Good dog, bad dog. Rich Little is here tonight, and also Helen Reddy and Dr. Carl Sagan, the astronomer from Cornell University, is here tonight. It should be a fascinating night. Rich Little is probably the finest impressionist working today. He opens at the Palmer House on December the 4th, and he's with us tonight. Would you welcome Mr. Rich Little? I wonder if you know, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wonder if you know that you do something, because you put me on the night of the Dean Martin roast about all my little nervous habits and takes and looks and so forth.
You mean you're going to do an impression of me?
I'm going to tell you what you do, whether you don't know it. Freddie was talking with you because you're going to guest host this show one night later next month. And he says you stopped him in the hall today talking about guests. You know, just as Rich Little. And saying, you know, maybe I could get Jimmy Stewart because he'd make a fine. And you went right into everybody you talked about. Then you mentioned Jack Benny. You're just talking to Freddie in the hall, saying maybe we can get Jack Benny. Because, you know, Jack would be a good guest. And you fell right into the people.
I do that without thinking about it.
You see?
Yeah.
That could be a strange multiple personality thing with you, couldn't it?
Yeah.
If you mention anybody else. See what happens?
Hey, this is the first time I've ever followed a dog act.
Sit. Stay.
I've been on before Camel.
I'm here, yes.
But that was the Ed Sullivan Show.
I understand you're going to do a reading tonight. You usually don't do readings, do you? Or poetry, I understand?
Well, no, I didn't write this like Victor Buono does, but every year I've done a version of it. Was The Night Before Christmas. This one's called The Night Before Watergate.
How fortuitous.
And it was written by a guy named Bob Hanley, a very clever actor-writer. And it's, of course, Richard Nixon telling the story. 'Twas a night before Christmas in our San Clemente house. Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The tapes, they were hidden by the chimney with care, for fear that Sam Irvin soon would be there. Testing, 1, 2, 3. My lawyers were nestled, all snug in their beds, while visions of Sam Quinton danced in their heads. Me in my nightgown and patterned chiffon had just finished turning the tape recorder on. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my throne to see what was the matter. Away down the driveway, I flew like a fool, forgetting that's where we just dug our pool. The leaves of the palm trees reflected the glow of the cornflakes Pat whitewashed to simulate snow. Very clever. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but the Watergate gang? Is that perfectly clear? And a little old leader, so lively he ran, I knew in a moment it must be Big Sam. More determined than Nader, his search party came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Baker, now Gurney, Montoya, and Dash. On Talmadge, on Weicker, let's move like a flash. Rip up the floorboards, tear down the wall. Now search away, search away, search away all. Sam spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, pulling out wires like a man gone berserk. Then laying a finger aside of his nose, a gesture I thought was a juvenile pose. Up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his car and to his team gave a yell. Though they'd found not one tape, the place looked like hell. But I heard them exclaim as they drove out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and to you, Tricky Dick. It will be a truly silent night." I like it, but I fail to see the humor.
Yes. Possibilities are, Rich, the White House for command performances too often.
That crossed my mind during the bit.
Did you?
Several times, yes.
Yeah, that's very clever.
Well, thank you.
Very clever. Did you add, you try to add new, I know, of course you do. From time to time you come up with new, depending, you come up with things on the Urban Committee and various people that come into the public light all the time.
Working on a buddy of Ed's, Frank Sinatra. I've been trying to perfect Sinatra for years.
That's
a very
not-
hard
that's not-
voice to do.
It's not easy to do.
Harry Belafonte. Back to back, belly to belly. Don't touch the dial, just look at my belly. Or something. Bibi Rebozo, working on him.
Who would know?
Well, Bibi
Never
Rebozo
heard
sounds...
B.B. Rebozo.
He sounds a lot like Nixon, I guess. He sounds a lot like Howard Hughes.
Who would know? You could do anything for B.B. Rebozo and get a hand.
I do some walks of people.
Yeah, you
One of the ones I love to do, I never get a chance to do, is Walter Matthau. You know what Walter... I
Just
gotta
walks.
stand up to do Walter Matthau walking.
Last night, my wife ran into an old flame of mine. I know there's nothing unusual about this, except it was in the closet of our bedroom.
Alan Ladd. Alan Ladd running.
Alan Ladd running?
Jack Webb.
Walter Brennan. Yes.
Johnny Carson.
Oh, come on now.
May old Gibbons come over to your house tomorrow and eat your window box.
All the time.
John Wayne.
John Wayne.
Big Duke.
Big Duke.
Yo.
W.C. Fields.
W.C. Fields.
Women are like elephants to me. I like to look at them, but I wouldn't want to own one.
Hubert Humphrey.
My fellow Americans, I'm just as punched as pleased to be here tonight. I was saying to my wife Muriel just the other day, I said Muriel, and she said, that's right.
Can you do this?
That's funny. Do that.
What?
Robert Mitchum.
You do
Well,
every-
Robert Mitchum's a little like John Wayne, except that...
Yeah, the walking. Mitchum's walk.
Except that
Robert
you gotta
Mitchum
stick the gut out.
Robert Mitchum's got us.
Robert Mitchum is...
The legs.
Depends
the
how
legs.
tight the girdle is, you know.
The legs come later.
Yeah.
The
legs
legs
come
are
later.
some back here. Yeah, that's funny. You know, you forget that everybody outside of the voice have all of those physical characteristics, body movement.
Well, you're the wildest.
Well, you put me on that night. I do lots of things. I have one hand behind me sometimes, both of them sometimes. You said I had 27 different...
You have 23, and we found another one today, the blinking. I didn't do the blinking one.
I do that, too?
You do the blinking, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's 23. Now, Bob Hope's walk is the same as Jack Benny's.
They each have a hint of mint in the walk.
It's the, you know...
Just a touch.
Well, Jack is...
You know.
Now, Bob's is just a little bit faster.
Bob's the same walk, but yeah. Absolutely.
And he sits down and...
Does the same. Boom, boom, boom. How are you doing there? Oh, John Ball. Yeah. Ed Wynn once said many years ago, and I suppose if you analyze it far enough, that all comedians, physical comedians, have a certain, at times, effeminate mannerisms or characteristics because it works comedically, whether it is a walk or a gesture or so forth, and it's true if you analyze it far enough. Even W.C. Fields' little walk is a very gingerly type of walk. It's almost effete in many ways, but it works for comedy sometimes if you explore it.
Is that what you do?
What? Yes, that's what I walk, very gingerly.
Well, John Wayne, you know, imagine having a walk like that and his real name is Marion Morrison.
Yeah. But who's going to argue?
Oh, sir, nobody's going to argue with that, Pilgrim.
Pilgrim. Let me take a break here. We'll come right back after a word, brief word, then we shall return.